Hello, Once Price Focus as we assess the Nottingham Forest squad and ask who should stay, who should go, and who needs a loan ahead of the 25-26 season. In the company of, first of all, Mark Sutherns, who's coughing. In the company of, first of all,
don't come to me first, yeah.
In the company of Greg Mitchell, how are you?
Great,
Good.
and on time, just like yourself, Matt.
Sorry. Well, that was a really short intro because we're getting straight into it after some transfer news quickly. Mark Sutherns, how are you?
I was late and I feel bad now because Greg's got to go, so I won't waffle.
It's good to have Greg back, isn't it? Making us all feel guilty straight away. 5 minutes for his return. Mikey Clarke, how are you?
I'm good. I've not been on for ages, so I was going to ask how the Champions League push is going. I'm assuming we're over the line now, are we? Not
like that.
That was all good, Mikey. Yeah, all good.
Get it out of the way. Get it out of the way. I'm over it.
Are you over it, Greg? You were the most miserable.
And then, like Mikey says stuff like that, and it just annoys me. But we'll be all right in the Europa League.
We will. Yeah. That's not a conversation for tonight. We'll get into the whole squad thing.
As if we're talking transfers.
Transfer news really quickly before we get into it. Forest have been linked with Borja Sainz, I should say, who plays for Norwich, who's a right winger, I think. Had a very good season. But I think if we do buy him, he would go to Olympiacos on loan and on a sort of David Carmo deal where they pay the fee for a year and the wages. So we'll follow that if more develops on it. Also linked, again, second time I've seen this name, Ronaldo, who's a left-back who plays for Atletico Madrid, soon to be a free agent after the Club World Cup. They're also linked with Leeds and Sunderland. And just to flag as well, Harry Toffolo's statement after he was released or left, I assume he was released, put out a lovely statement on Instagram. So, yeah, well done to Toff. We didn't mention all his off-field work the other day when we were discussing him. So another hails to the hero for that, for everything he did, because he was a top man. Right, we'll do more transfer chat tomorrow probably. The point of this whole exercise is to go through the squad, look at what kind of shape we're in heading into next season, and we'll go through each individual player. Before we do that, we'll just bring up the squad based on the retained list. And it's quite interesting because it looks kind of thin, but it's also got a lot of names on it. I'll read it all out, and then I'll ask these chaps quickly what they think of it, one of them. So our goalkeepers for next season at the moment are Sells, Miguel, Turner, Hennessy, and Aaron Bott, who's a young keeper. Then fullbacks, we've got Aina, Marrero, Williams, Omar Richards coming back on loan. Centre-backs were very well stocked. Milenkovic, Bolly, Bindon, Abbott, Murillo, Morato, Carmo, and Omar Bamadelli. Central midfielders, Sangare, Yates, Gibbs-White, Dominguez, Danilo, O'Brien, Anderson, and Stamenic. Wingers, Hudson-Odoi, Sosa, Bowler, Ilanga, Jota. And strikers Wood, Awonyi, and Dennis. Mark, what do you make of that list? Is it a bit alarming in the sense?
Yeah.
Does it it highlights how well we did last season?
Yeah, I mean, we did. We overperformed with the squad we got, no doubt about it. And at the end, we were wheezing, weren't we? And we were struggling because few injuries and the gap started showing. If we didn't have Europe, we might get away with that with one or two signings. We have got Europe, so either we've got to. Yeah, we've got to think about what we want. If we're going to take Europe seriously, we have got a lot of gaps to fill because there's some players there that aren't good enough. And even if they were good enough, there's gaps. So there's a lot of business to be done if we're going to take the Europa Conference seriously. Alternative is we make 2 or 3 quality signings and we satisfy ourselves with going out of Europe early and just concentrate on aiming for a top 10 finish. I don't think we can achieve both with that squad.
No, probably not. A lot of people are saying we need to ship out a lot of players. So we'll get into the names. We'll just go through them one at a time because Greg's got to go at a set time. So we'll just pile into it. And some of these are going to be really self-explanatory. So I'll just hurry the lads on through some of them. So obviously, Matt Sells. Does anyone want to do anything other than keep Matt Sells? No, there you go. Lovely.
Asked me 4 months ago, I might have done, but not now.
Yeah. Carlos Miguel, Greg, keep, sell, or loan?
No, we need to stop doing this loan business. I think if we can get any kind of feedback for a keeper who we're not expecting to play, if the worst happens, sells for a few games, I think you try and do that. It doesn't seem to have trust of Nuno, maybe, and I'm sure we'll be looking at other options. So if we manage to get another option lined up and get some money for him. And I don't know if he's happy over here or not, but yeah, one to move on for me if we're being brutal.
Play along in the comments, by the way, and drop your keep, sell, or loan in with each player as well. Probably one-word answers for you other lads. Mikey, keep, sell, or loan.
Yeah, same as Greg. I think we have to look to move him on. The fact they're talking to Hennessy about a new deal as well probably says it all.
Mark, in one word or very short answer.
Sell if we've got the bandwidth to get a replacement in, which I hope we have.
Very good. Right, next goalie on the books, Matt Turner. Anyone keeping him? Mark, any scenario where you keep Matt Turner?
No. I'm sure he's a nice human being, but don't put his eyes on the screen because his eyes are lovely, and that might convince me to keep him. So no, get rid.
I've got him looking. I've got him looking off into the distance. I know. I've got him. He's not looking down the camera at everyone. Although I don't think he'd change anyone's opinion. Greg, we did this question this morning. Is he the worst signing of the Premier League era, or is someone else that might be on this list to come off the top of your head?
Oh, that's harsh. I think it's harsh to label him with that. He had some bad games. He did make some good saves. But yeah, it's not worked for him, and he's obviously had a good contract out of it, and he could restart his career somewhere else and maybe do a decent job.
Well, we know where he's restarting his career. I think if Leon want to take a few of the names that are the fringe players here, I'm sure they'd be all right with it. Mikey, one word on Matt Turner?
Yeah, same. Just sell. It's time to move on, I think.
We'll just do one-word answers for this one.
He said one-word answers about 10 times now.
I'm trying to get. Some of them are pretty obvious. Mark, Wayne Hennessy.
We're keeping, aren't we?
Well, he's been offered, and they're in talks over a new deal.
Yeah,
would you have kept him?
Keep as a third option, I guess, and a coach.
Greg.
Sell.
Who's buying him? Release.
Oh, one-word answer. We need, do you know, in like Europa League or whatever, don't we need 4 academy players?
Surely Leon won't go as far as buying Wayne Hennessy off us. Surely.
So we've got to start making room for like an academy player in the squad, and we can't have 17 goalkeepers that are never going to play for us.
Yeah.
Why keep him if he's not going to be the number 2 goalie? We're not going to trust him in the Premier League for like we need a second goalie that if someone gets injured, they're ready for 10, 15 games.
Yeah. Well, we're linked with the Leon keeper.
I tried one-word answer, but you did question me on it.
Sorry. He wouldn't qualify as homegrown, I don't think, anyway. He qualifies domestic, but not homegrown. So, yeah. Mikey?
Yeah, you got the wrong panel on if you want one-word answers. But yeah, I think Greg's hit the nail on the head. I think he's probably only going to stick around because of the lack of depth of that option. But I think, is he good enough at this stage? Probably not. So I think I'd look to move him on. Yeah,
I think so. I don't know anything about Aaron Bott. Apologies to him, other than he's a homegrown player. So maybe he does qualify as a homegrown thing for the Conference League. So maybe we keep him, but we shall move on. Ola Greg, I know we're going to keep Ola, but are you worried about his contract situation?
Yeah, and it's something we'll be looking at and working on and seeing if it's beneficial for us. I would absolutely love us to extend his contract. I'd love it. So for me, extend the contract and see what happens. You extend it, give him 4 years of security, and then if someone comes in for him next year, we get a lot of money.
What if he won't sign a new contract, Mikey, and he makes that clear?
Yeah, and that's the problem we've got, not just with him, but with others. I think what Ola brings slightly different to the table is you can see he's an infectious character. He's also damn good on the football pitch as well. So all I'd say, just a slight curve. The reason I've not been on for a while is because I've had a new job and slightly different hours. And looking at my new team, there are some people there that bring way more to the table than what you just see.
I hope they're not listening to this.
This is good, isn't it? And it's true. And I think Ola is one of them. So if you lose him, you don't just lose what's on the pitch, you lose everything else. And I think he's huge. He'd be one that I'd be desperate to tie down just because of what he brings outside of what we see every Saturday.
Dave says sell if he won't sign. Charlie, keep. Even without the new contract. We did fall apart without him. My worry, Mark, is I don't think we can afford to let anyone go on a free with the size of our football club. That it is a valuable asset. Is that fair?
Yeah, and having him means we can play Nico out on the left and use his versatility. You do everything you can to get him to sign. I've no reason to suspect that he wouldn't sign. He feels like he's happy at the club. Positive attitude, like Mikey and Greg have said.
Stay with you, Mark. Nico's in the same position. I'm 99% sure his contract is up. I'll check that while you're talking. But any doubts about him? If he, I assume you're going to keep him. But again, if you're not going to keep him, then he's a valuable asset. He's probably more valuable than Aina, isn't he? Because of his age.
Yeah, he probably is. And I definitely want to keep him because I think that he's still got levels to go to. And he's improving all the time in front of our very eyes, season on season. So I think he could be a real fantastic asset for us next season, even more than we've seen in the previous two. So we do everything to keep him again, but he has got high sale value. Yeah.
Is he? Go on, Greg. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, Kevin in the comments saying you can't keep players that who don't want to stay. You can.
No,
you have to look at our depth at fullbacks. It's terrible. So if we get one more year out of them and don't manage to get a few million quid for us, it could be the difference between staying up, going down, Europe or nothing. I think you keep your best players for me for next season.
What if they go on a free though? What if they go on a free?
Well, then
you're not bothered.
No, we get another year out of him. Imagine if we'd have let Murillo go last year, if he was in this situation and we didn't have that year of him, and look where we got. I think you've got to be able to get the best out of our squad in August, and that's keeping these players for me, even if they don't sign a new one.
What about you, Mikey?
Yeah, I know where you're coming from, Greg. I think I'm reticent to be critical of the club because last season was beyond any of our wildest dreams. But I think where we need to sharpen up on is letting players run down to the last year of their contract. So I don't think we're a club at the moment that can afford to let people go on a free. And I understand what you're saying, Greg, about what he brings to the table. But my worry is those people on a 2-year contract. For me, they either re-sign or we look to move them on, because at this point in our evolution, we just can't be losing people for free. I'd rather get some money for them and reinvest. But Nico's an absolute linchpin of the side, and you do everything you can to tie him down. But I just think that's somewhere where we probably need to look at as a club. Just don't let people run down to the last 18 months of the contract, because your value will depreciate rather rapidly.
He is entering the final year of his contract. Just to confirm that, fullback is a bit of a disaster area. We'll just finish that up with let me find Eric da Silva Moreira. Is he the first one we're loaning out, Mark?
Well, he needs a loan, no question. He's not ready to compete for first 11 by any means, so he's got to go out on loan if we're serious about keeping him. He's only been at the club 12 months. Surely we need to give him more time than that. So he's retained with a loan, isn't he?
Yeah. I'll move on unless Greg or Mikey think different about.
He's still so young and got so much potential. I remember last July when he was playing, was it against Chesterfield? He looked fantastic. So there's a young talent in there that needs nurturing and could be a top player. I just think the risk reward with him, you loan him out or you give him some games pre-season and see where he's at.
Yeah, his fee was so low as well.
It was. I hugged him on Trent Bridge once, right? And a lot of people.
Did he know you were going to do it?
No, he was terrified. So a lot of people think, if anybody used to watch Heroes, the program, a lot of people call me this guy that used to steal all their power. So I don't think he'll play for Forest again, because I think I've ruined him with the hug that he wasn't expecting. I think realistically, he probably needs to go out on loan, because I kind of agree with the guys. He shows so much promise. He just needs to showcase his talent somewhere. So unless he's going to get a run in the Conference League, which could be an option, I think he's probably one we look to loan out.
If you've stolen his powers, we can sell Nico Williams and play you at left back then.
Oh my word.
Maybe.
Can you imagine?
Maybe so.
Oh,
Here's I guess it's an interesting case, Mikey. I'll stay with you. Omar Richards, he's had a good season at Rio Ave. I think he's played about 30 games for the first time in years. Is there enough there to make you think keep him or cut our losses with a year to go on his contract?
Do you know what? There was one or two on this list which I kept changing my mind at, and he's one of them, because I just remember him a few years ago and he was excellent. But obviously he's struggled with injuries. I've not been keeping a close track on him. I don't really know how he's done, but we're so weak in the fullback areas other than our starters. He's one that I think out of necessity we're going to have a look at. So I think he's one we see how he does in pre-season, see if he's up to the grade, and maybe he's one that we've kind of forgotten and comes back in and makes his mark.
What do you think, Greg? Do we give him pre-season and see if there's anything there or not?
Definitely. He's playing, like you say, he's played 30 games. He's already has. He's not costed us any more at the minute. Maybe a team that is, maybe Real will come in for him. Who knows if he's played that many games for them, but give him a chance, definitely. We've not seen enough of him. And he had a horrendous injury, obviously.
That's what I was going to say to Mark. It's been such a shame. I mean, I didn't see him at Bayern Munich, but he came with such a reputation. You know, he could have been a reverse Michael Elise potentially at one stage. It's a real shame it's gone this way for him.
Yeah, I guess the fact we were looking at Curibano, though, means that who seems like a very similar kind of archetype left back would mean that he's probably going to get moved on. But give him pre-season, see how he fares. But if the contract's an issue with him as well, I mean, how many of these contracts can we negotiate? I think we've got to ship some of these players out and get some money for them.
Is fullback low key the biggest crisis area? Crisis is a strong word. Is the biggest area of concern, Mark, for you, or is it? Or we'll get to striker, but is that probably the bigger one?
Well, if you look at the defence we've got, those four are as good as any four in the Premier League, aren't they? They're very strong and they complement each other very well. We wouldn't want to really dismantle that, and we might have to lose one if we need to sell. But yeah, we've got to do all we can. I mean, Williams and Aina have got to be really near the top of the list in terms of contract negotiations we're doing. I don't know. None of us know if they want to stay. I'm sitting here now. There's no inkling they want to move on. So I'd be hopeful that we're doing all we can to retain them. So yeah, it's a problem area. If we lose one of them, we're in trouble. Yeah.
We'll go on to centre-backs. There's many of them in one moment. Just before that, a reminder, the Sex Pistols expose, it's on the 14th of June, so that's 5 days from now, 3 p.m. till 8 p.m. Daytime gig. Scan the QR code on the screen if you're watching on YouTube, or go to fatsoma.com to get your tickets. And obviously, that's at the Trent Nav, and thanks for their support as ever. Right, central defenders. There's a couple of easy ones here, most likely, I think. So let's start with Milenkovic. We're all going to say keep Milenkovic, so I'm probably just going to move on and scoot on to Murillo. Would anyone can make a case for selling Murillo ahead of others to fund a spending spree, or do we all just keep him?
I mean, yeah, if you're asking me, we're going to get £80 million for Murillo or Gibbs-White, and we have to sell one of them. I'm selling Murillo.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't want him to go at all, but if that's what we have to do, then I would. I do feel like we're not going to sell either of them. I genuinely do. I hope that as well, but that's just it. I've seen Gibbs-White in the flesh in another team last night. You realise just how good he is when he's got a bit more of the ball.
Yeah, because we can make it's so complicated with PSR. It feels like, from reading everything between the lines, if we just sell Danilo or someone else, we have a bit of headroom and we can sign a few Brazilians and maybe a few frees. Maybe I'm simplifying it. If we're going to go big and rebuild a squad, then you probably have to sell someone as a bigger deal, because, as Mark was saying before we started recording, it's very hard to sell 10 players or renegotiate contracts and sign players. So that's probably the dilemma. Mark, you were agreeing with Greg, I think.
Totally agree with Greg. Yeah, if one's going to go, it's not Gibbs-White, because replacing Gibbs-White will take all summer and we might need 2 players. You sell Murillo, you go and get Harwood Bellis or something like that. It's not like for like, because Murillo's so unique. We're never going to see the like again, probably, in the City Ground. But you can sign good centre-backs for 30 million and you would get 80 million for Murillo. So it would make sense.
We'll probably come on to names then, Mikey, but where are you at on this whole sell big to fund big type debate?
Well, I had the same debate with a few guys a few weeks back, and every single one of them said if they had to choose, they'd sell Murillo over Gibbs-White. However, I kind of agree, but it goes back to my initial point, which is Morgan Gibbs-White has 2 years left of his deal. So if he's staying, for me, he has to sign a new contract. Otherwise, his value is going to depreciate, and he's going to look to maybe move on in January or end of the season. So it's a real catch-22 situation. A lot of people in the comments saying why we're selling our two best players. We're not. I think it's just a case of just debating, if we did want to move for 2, 3, 4 big players to fill those gaps that we're going to talk about, and one has to go, who does it be? So for me, it's Murillo sales on the pretense that Gibbs-White signs a new deal, if that answers your question in a roundabout way.
It does, yeah. Just quickly on Milenkovic, a couple of guys saying AJ and Derek saying make him captain. Would he be captain next season, Greg, or would you just stick with Ryan Yates?
Unfortunately, Ryan Yates isn't getting the game time to be captain, is he? I will always want my captain to be a homegrown talent, of course, but above that, I think you've got to have a player that's, if they're fit, they're guaranteed to be on that pitch. And either of the centre backs are like that, aren't they? Like, yeah, Milenkovic would be a great captain. Gibbs-White, maybe if you say to him, look, stay with us, club captain and a new contract, I'd do that as well, because I don't think necessarily it's as much a on the pitch. What's the word? I don't think it really benefits as much as you think it would the captain these days, other than a bit of pride for the player. So if it helps him sign a new contract, I'd give it who would do that, to be honest.
Yeah, good point. I'd go along with that. Willie Bolly I think he's been offered he has been offered a new contract from reading the piece. Mikey, is that a bit of a no-brainer in the sense he feels like he's Nuno's lieutenant, and if he's 33, 34, 1-year deal might probably make sense, do you think?
It does, yeah, absolutely. And I really rate Willie Bolly. I think he could be arguably our third best centre back. He's really reliable. He obviously speaks a lot of languages. He's one of the lieutenants, as you said. And going back to Greg's point about the captains, you look at like an England cricket captain, they determine everything, don't they? The bowlers, the field places. It's not the same at football. You have numerous captains. All the best sides have numerous captains on the football pitch. So Bolly's one of them. Milenkovic is one of them. Gibbs-White, Yatesy. And I just think if you lose too many of those leaders, it really does show. So if Bolly wants to stick around and he knows his role for next season, which will be Conference League football, being the eyes and ears in the dressing room, maybe getting the odd minutes in the Premier League, if he's happy with that, then I'd love him to stay.
This is a yes/no question then. Mark, keep, yes or no?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes, I thought I'd have a delay. So
Thanks. Right, let's move on. This one's a more interesting one. Morato, Mark, keep, sell, or loan Morato?
Keep, I think. He's had some bad moments last season, but yeah, we saw talent there. I think we need to have another look. And if we play free at the back, it's probably him over Bolly. And we've got Conference League football, and he'll probably be one of the first names on the sheet there.
What about you, Greg?
Just depends on the fees. If you can get, I don't know how much we pay for him, but if you can get
like 12 million.
Yeah, if you get 20, 25, maybe, I think it just depends what you're going to get him. But yeah, I'd keep him. Like Mark says, Conference League football, him and Bolly playing when we're playing 3-4 games in a week, give the other back to a rest.
The comments are pretty much sell, apart from a few. I mean, 20 million, Mikey, I'd sell, but what about you?
Yeah, agree with Greg. I think every player's got the price. But I did think he had a pretty solid first season. When we used to go to 3 at the back right at the start, he was integral. And I think he did okay in his first season in a foreign land for him. So, I'd be happy to see him stay. But money talks, doesn't it? In 2025, I think he's on his way.
Yeah.
Can I just say as well, Mike has said agree with Greg today more than he ever has in our entire 5 years of doing this. I'm just loving every time he says it.
It's because I upset you at the start, mate, and I feel guilty.
Also, Matt, if we're selling every player for 60-70% profit, then sell. But realistic? Yeah. I mean, if we get 20 million from Morato, of course I'd say sell, but we're not getting it 20 million. So,
no. I think if we're assuming there's no offers for him, then I'd keep him. For me, I wouldn't loan him. He did have a weird season. It was like a reverse season. You'd expect him to start slow and settle in. Not start brilliantly and then gradually unravel to the point, the Leicester game was a bit of a nightmare for him.
Pressure, I think, isn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah, could well be. Could well be. You're right. Talking of unravelling, poor Andrew Omobamidele, his nightmare at Strasbourg at the end there, sort of a factor in us getting all this Lyon mess because it helped Lyon get into Europe. Mikey, has his race run and we've moved on from him?
Sound pretty harsh, but I think so. I think we've got better options at centre back now, even playing three at the back, and I think we should look to try and move them on.
Mark?
Yeah, sell.
Yeah, sell for me. Greg?
Sell.
There we go. That's what we like. That'll get us moving along. Right, we've got tons of other centre halves that we'll just go through if I can find. There's loads of them in this graphic. David Carmo. Have you got to know enough about him to form an opinion, Mark? From what we know about him?
I mean, you've got to think that we're keeping him, aren't we? I think he's coming back to the club. He's a dominant centre back. He's in the Milenkovic mould, really. So you've got to think that he's got the ability and stature to be our third centre back over Murillo and Bolly. So you think Murillo and Bolly in Europe, and he'll be on the bench in Premier League? What I'm thinking.
I guess so. I mean, I think I'd sell him if a good offer came in, but I haven't seen enough of him, so I don't know. Greg, any thoughts?
Don't even know who he is. Yeah, I mean, I like it when you've not really seen a player. So why would I say sell him? Because I haven't got a clue. Let's see what pre-season's like.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move on to a player who's exciting. Unless Mikey's got any more than one word for David Carmo.
I do, but I'll just tell you this quickly. He just come back from Greece, and they love him, the Olympiacos fans I spoke to over there. So I'd like to see him in a Forest shirt, see what he's made of. Good.
Mikey, kick us off. Tyler Bindon. Keep, sell, loan.
Oh, I tell you what, there's high hopes for this kid, isn't they? Everything I read about him and watch him, they really rate him. Keep him, but I think he probably wants to play in the step up, so a championship or something like that move. Or is he one for the Conference League? But definitely keep.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's one. For me, you loan him out, don't you, Mark, to a championship club, unless he's unbelievable in pre-season.
No, yeah, exactly. He should be in a top-tier championship club, shouldn't he?
Yeah. Greg, do you know who Tyler Bindon is?
Reading's best ever player, the way they speak about him. He's had his loan, though, hasn't he? Like, he's had his few months of loan. We've now got this Conference League, which is perfect for these types of players. See how it goes in the summer, and then if they think he's got minutes in them, keep him for me.
Very good. Now, I feel like I haven't got a Zach Abbott graphic. I should have from the FA Cup semi-final. Zach Abbott, here we go. Greg, loan? Or do we have to keep him for the Conference League?
Again, yeah, it's the Conference League scenario, isn't it? It's a fascinating one. So you keep. And also with only having Ryan Yates in the first team squad, who's like from our academy, I think you should keep him. You should keep him in and around the squad, and he's already played an FA Cup semi-final. He's gonna get the minutes if and when, especially in this Conference League, to keep.
It's difficult, Mark, because Forest will have loads of insight on this. They've got loads of data around when players make their debuts and everything, and when they're supposed to play minutes. Is the Conference League beneficial to players like Abbott, or would he be better just playing 30 games for a championship club?
I think he'd be better off in a championship club, but yeah, the rules mean that we might have to retain him and play him in that tournament. So yeah, I'd like to see him get a move to the championship myself, if we can.
Mikey?
Yeah, everyone I speak to who has anything to do with the club say they absolutely love him down there and have such high hopes for him. So I think he plays in the Conference League. I think we keep him.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like unbelievable attitude. Unbelievable attitude and unbelievable trainer and real willingness to push himself. Sort of like a Yates type mentality. So I think he's got every chance. I'd like to see him loaned, but I think we're going to have to keep him for this Conference League squad. Comments the Conference League 15 aside, we are playing quite a lot of players in this Conference League team at the moment, certainly. Right, let's move on to midfielders. We've got quite a few, although probably only the 5 frontline ones, certainly. We'll go on to Ryan Yates because we need him for the Conference League, but I know he divides people, Mark, but you've got to keep him, haven't you?
Yeah. Yes. No, I don't think there's any debate here. So yeah, I won't go into that anymore. I think we keep him.
Greg?
the journey continues for Ryan Yates. He steps up at every single level, and now he's going to get European football to do it again.
Mikey, next season, we thought this season he'd take a step back and be more of a squad player. He ultimately was at the end of the season. Is it going to be the case for him throughout next season that he's 20 minutes off the bench man, or will he shock us again?
Potentially, but it's what he brings to the table. It's like what I said earlier about Aina. He brings so much to the table. He's an ambassador for the club. He's just signed a new long-term deal last season. He ain't going anywhere, Yatesy. He'll be in and around, and he'll love it, and he'll drive everybody on. So he's one that's integral to what we do.
Toby says sell for pure profit, but I don't know what his market value is. I don't know. I love Ryan Yates, but is he a £20 million player? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think he is. So yeah, you'd have to probably keep him. Certainly, Elliot Anderson we're all going to keep, aren't we? So we can probably move on from him. Danilo, Greg, Leon.
He's the perfect opportunity to not have to sell Gibbs-White and Murillo. I love Danilo. He had that golden spell, didn't he? In like whenever it was 2023, where he's scoring the goals, and he kept us up that year. Well, one of the reasons he kept us up. Sell, and it protects others that are first team players for me.
Sell, Mikey.
Yeah, we joke about, well, if a 20 million bid comes in, well, it sounds like one has for Danilo. So I think I agree. I think it's time to move on. But thank you for everything he's done. He's been brilliant.
Sell, Mark.
Yeah, never found his position in the Premier League, so go elsewhere and flourish.
Nico Dominguez is probably one where, because he's injured, it affects his situation anyway. But if he was fit, Mark, keep, sell, or loan?
Keep him for sure. No, keep him for sure.
I think so. Greg?
Yeah, keep.
Mikey?
Keep, versatile, trusted, absolutely. Keep him at the club.
Yeah, I think so. Made sense. Right, the most debated player, Sangare. Mikey, keep or sell or loan?
I knew, I said there was a couple that I've been debating. He's just about won me over with his back end of the season. I thought he was excellent against Chelsea, and it's just a shame that the season came to an end. So I think, again, pre-season, see what he can do. My dad's going to kill me because he's been telling me from minute one that he's not good enough. But for me, pre-season, let's see how he starts. I think we keep him. I think we have to.
Everyone in the comments except for Tom says keep. Greg, did he win you over? Were you ever in doubt?
Yeah, absolutely. I was so excited when we signed him. He had the injury, and he was frankly not very good for us at all. And then towards the end of last season, he came on, and then the season before, towards the end of this season, he was a stonewall starter. If he has a good pre-season now, I think he'll be a starter again. I think you're going to struggle to sign a number 6 for a decent value, where we've got a solid one here who's shown real promise the last couple of months.
Is he? Is that right, Mark, for you? Starter next season, or are you selling him?
I don't think he works in Nuno's system at all, and in the 6, he flourished because he had Dominguez there, and we weren't playing Nalango and Hudson-Odoi. If you're playing 2 wingers, he's not going to cope, I don't think. He's great for Europe, though. And, he'd be first name in the team sheet in the conference team, because obviously he knows European football. Played in the Dutch league, which is a slower pace, and that's what the conference league will be. So he'll flourish there. But I don't think he's in a first 11 with 2 wingers and a 6. Don't think he's good. He hasn't got the mobility to do it, I'm afraid, for me. So if we get a good offer, we sell.
Yeah, that's the question mark still. Without Dominguez as a minder, can he do it? But I thought he answered all the questions as well as he could last season, especially as he went on. I thought that Chelsea game, I thought he was really excellent, and I would keep him. I just don't know if he's going to be like the man next season. He could be. I think he could end up being great for us, or he could just fade away and go down as ultimately a bad signing. I think the jury's still out, and he could swing it either way. Certainly, that's all our main midfielders. We've got a couple more that we can just go through quickly. Marko Stamenic, Mikey. I don't know if you've seen anything of him. The Olympiacos fan said there's a player there, but I don't think he fits Nuno's system from what he was saying about him.
No, the ones I spoke to and over there a few weeks ago, they weren't that impressed with him. But I think he's one that he's just going in pre-season, see what he's all about. But it wouldn't surprise me if he moves on, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he's one that you sell. Mark, any thoughts upon?
Yeah, I would have thought so. We would have thought so. I mean, obviously we saw a player there somewhere, so maybe he'll get another year on loan, but depends what we get in terms of offer.
Yeah, I don't think he's one we'll see in a Forest shirt, personally,
No.
but he was only like 4 million quid, so it wasn't a huge risk. Greg, any thoughts on him?
I don't. Sorry, yeah, but I agree with what you just said, Matt. It was only that much money, and then move him on. It's not a great loss.
The first season as well, Olympiacos paid for it, his wages and his fee. So, that knocks another £1 million off it effectively. So anything over 3 million quid for a current New Zealand international. He is a key cog in the New Zealand international team. So he is a good player. It's just like he doesn't sound like he fits our system. He has played, from what I was listening to what the Olympiacos guy says, if you play a very disciplined midfield shape where they have to do a role very rigidly, then he didn't really do it. And if you play for Nuno's midfield, you've got to be able to do that. So I think that's where he struggles. Poor old Lewis O'Brien, Mark. I feel for him. Never quite worked for him since he signed. I think he's a good player, but we've got to sell him, haven't we, if we can.
Top championship player, isn't he? So surely he gets a move. We have to sell.
Yeah. Is he one of those, Greg? Just a top championship player?
Yeah, or he might like his time go for America, or he's a definite move on and say. I think we saw enough of him to know his level, and our level's gone up a peg.
Shall we move on to wingers? Because I feel like I've covered all of the central midfielders. I might have forgotten. Let me just have a quick look. Have we done them all? Yes, we have. There you go. Let's go on to the wingers and start with Hudson-Odoi. Mikey, another one. The contract thing is a concern, isn't it?
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's down to a year. Give us a little bit of a break on this one, because it was a deal that suited both parties. He needed a start after Germany, hampered by injuries. We gave him a chance. I think Chelsea got a huge sell-on fee. So I don't know what the point is as selling him now anyway. We get pittance for him. He's one we just need to try and tie down, because the move has worked for both clubs. So keep for this one. But again, let's not let players run their contracts down to a year or 18 months. We've got to be smarter than that. But he's great, Callum, and he makes such a difference when he's in the side. So keep him.
Pete points out we haven't done Gibbs-White yet. We'll come to him as a number 10, and I'll pretend I didn't forget about him when we was going through all the graphics. I think he's a really good player, but if he goes, Greg, it feels like it could really backfire on him with his injury record, and he feels like he's found a home at Forest. I think he'd be wise to sign a new deal here, wouldn't he?
I think you talk very much sense on that. I'd love him to stay here. This is he's in the best part of his career, and he's come on from a failed Chelsea player in some ideas to a young, one of the best wingers in the league. I mean, there was talk of him going Man United. He don't even play with wingers, which is crazy. Who else in those teams above us or fighting us is he going to play every single game that he's fit in? He's having a fantastic time with us, and it might be a reason that Elanga stays maybe on the other side as well. They work so well together.
Yeah, I think he's absolutely essential to how we play. I know people were a bit down on him at the end of the season, but he's the only one who you can, of the wingers, you can give the ball in a real tight area and he'll keep it. He's exceptional for that. He was linked with Napoli, Mark, as Owen points out. He had his stint in the Bundesliga with, was it Leverkusen, wasn't it, I think, and it really backfired on him. So you'd want to keep him here as much as we can?
Yeah, I would want to keep him, but we need to cover him because he's only playing 25 games, isn't he? Probably. So you're not getting 38 games out of Callum Hudson-Odoi. So we need a quality stand-in, and we haven't got that at the moment. So keep him, but unfortunately, keeping him means we have to sign cover.
Yeah, I think so. We'll just take a word from Nottingham Window Company before we go back to Morgan Gibbs-White. Thanks very much for their support as ever. If you're looking for new windows, new doors, check out the link in the description. Now is a good time to buy because it's very sunny, so your house won't get wet. There's a good reason to buy very expensive new windows and new doors. Right, let's go to Morgan Gibbs-White. Right, I would sell him. I know that people will say that sounds silly, but if we're gonna fund a big selling spree, then one has to go. Then he would be my one, even though he's such an exceptional player. And it's the contract thing and his value. And if we're going to be effective in the transfer market, or most effective in the transfer market, then if he's going to go and not going to sign a new contract, it probably needs to be this summer for me to maximise his value. I know it presents big problems, but Elanga's got a longer deal. We're in a better place with him to negotiate with other clubs. And the same goes for Murillo. So that will be my thinking, that if one of these players has to go to fund a squad to get us into Europe, touch wood, every year, then he would be the one that I would sacrifice, which I know sounds mental because he's one of our, certainly our best Premier League era player for me, consistently over the 3 years. But if someone's got to go, it would be him for me. What about you, Mikey?
Yeah, we had lunch early, didn't we? And I was going to convince you of this very argument, but you're already in that headspace. So I think we're very much aligned. I will say, however, I absolutely, as much as I hated that England game yesterday, it was an absolute pleasure being there and seeing Morgan running out and representing our club and the love towards him. So if you're listening, Morgan, please sign a new contract, because you are absolutely adored in this city and this team is built around you. If that doesn't happen, I just think we have to be smart as a business, and you have to look to do what's right for the football club. But I'm praying to God that he stays.
If he signs a new contract, then yeah, obviously you definitely keep him for me. That's not a question. But as Derek says, and I think you will probably say, Mark, as well, the whole team and the whole attack is built around Morgan Gibbs-White. So you're going to tell me I'm an idiot for saying that.
I just don't think you can take him out of that team, and we'd be giving ourselves such a hole to fill. I wouldn't back us to be able to fill it, and then we would absolutely struggle because he is the catalyst so often. So yeah, we need more from him. We need more goals from him. No doubt about it. But yeah, I think we've got to keep him and build that team around him, continue. And he'll get better. He'll have a better season next year and the year after that. I just don't think players like him who fit our system like he does are very, very difficult to find. And what do you have to spend to get them? And it's if you lose that, I think we would really struggle.
Robbo, his genius, mentions the wage structure. I mean, I know Temp said like 200k or something. I don't think we could pay that consistently. So again, he'd have to settle for less than that, and he's probably worth more than maybe what we could pay. So it is a really difficult situation. Where are you at on it, Greg?
Mark, I'm going to do it for you. Matt, you're an idiot. This guy is nowhere near his peak. It's not just every season, it's every month. He gets better and better. We've now finished the season. We saw 2 minutes of him against Andorra, which he looked incredible. We've seen 30 minutes of him in an England shirt, playing the number 7, being the best player on the pitch, the only one who looked completely exciting, like he wanted to be there. He was desperate to win. I just think you keep him, you beg him to sign this contract. It'll be better for him to sign an improved contract, because if a team really wants him next season, they'll offer even more and offer him even more. But City aren't going for him now, are they? So who else is there really that's going to stump up the cash? I don't think the team's out there this season. So get him a new contract, even if it's only an extra year. It gives us that security for next summer. Because I think next year we're going to see a Morgan Gibbs-White unlike anything we've seen so far.
What, you give him the Cunha contract then, Greg? Well, where he signed at Wolves with the £60 million release clause or something like that?
Yeah,
I mean, that'd be so clever.
Yeah.
That'd be so clever if we could do that.
If we could.
Keep him. Absolutely keep him.
I did some terrible maths as normal, and I think with PSR, the fee, you have to take into account the wages with PSR as well, which we don't know. But the fee, I think anything over about 16 million quid is a profit for the transfer fee. So if you could make 50 million quid on him in profit to spend, it opens up a lot of doors, which is my reason. But I suppose, you could probably do that with a different player in Anthony Elanga. But I'd find him an even tougher sell in a way, Mark, because he's the pacey direct winger. Perhaps they're easy to find, you tell me. I don't know.
I think you can find pace, and you wouldn't replace him like for like necessarily, but you can find pacey wingers in global football. Like Madueke played for England last night. Chelsea, if we went knocking and offered 50 million, we'd probably let him go. He could do that similar role. I'd rather have Elanga. I think Elanga's a slightly better player, got higher output, but I think you can go and find wingers with pace who can play that role. Gibbs-White is a far, far more difficult hole to fill. So I want to keep them both, but if I was choosing, I would lose Elanga.
Yeah. And do you think as well Richard obviously made a good point about the goals and assists going down, but do you not think that's because other players stepped up? Like they were there to provide a bit more, the wingers with the crosses, and Gibbs-White was just so influential, like when he was in that attacking third, just brilliant. So anyway, I'll move on.
Yeah,
Just
it's the
on
way
it-
we played. We played with Chris Wood. I said before, if you play with a striker who does more outside the box, Gibbs-White will get in the box and fill that gap. So we'll see different.
On Elanga as well, I think people point out, I think there's a sell-on clause because we got him quite cheap from United, so I think that would have to be a factor. The other thing about Elanga, Mikey, is I feel like he's gonna have a really big season next year. Maybe I'm wishful thinking, but the way he finished last season, playing all across the front line. I mean, that last game against Chelsea and probably our last few games, it felt like the only plan was get Elanga the ball. Certainly in the Chelsea game, so it feels like he's pretty integral to me. I don't know. What do you think? Keep him or reluctantly sell him?
Yeah, Langa's the man for me. So versatile. He plays up in a 2, doesn't he? He plays at either flank. Explosive pace. 3 years left of his deal. Loves it here. He's gone from strength to strength. I think the season Greg was talking about, Gibbs-White might have next season. I think Elanga might have that next season too. So ideally, you want to keep them all. We're going to get better by keeping our better players, right? We just are. But we have to appreciate the food chain and appreciate where we are and make some tactical decisions. But Elanga is not one at all that I look unless some ridiculous bid comes in for him. And I'm talking like 3-figure ridiculous bid.
Okay, so you've got to sell. Well, we say we've got 3 crown jewels: Gibbs-White, Elanga, Murillo. Your names, and we say we have to sell one to fund a big spending spree, which we don't necessarily have to. We can do other stuff, blah blah blah, all that stuff. But you've got to sell one of the 3, Mark, in this scenario. Your name's Murillo.
Yeah, it's easy because it's far easier to replace Murillo with an effective player in that position.
Greg?
Oh, Mark gets in my head because I was just about to say Elanga until he said it's so simple as Murillo. I'm going to stick with Elanga because I think Newcastle are willing to pay big bucks for him, aren't they? I think that's there and looks like it. So I think he's the more likely out of the 3. So I'm going to say Elanga, and it makes me look good when it happens.
Mikey?
Oh, please let me caveat my answer. It's Murillo, obviously, but if we sell Murillo now and Gibbs-White doesn't sign a new contract, guess what we're going to have to do to Gibbs-White next season when we have this discussion? He'll have 1 year left. He'll have to go. So it's Murillo, but Gibbs-White needs to sign a new deal. That's my caveat.
But Murillo's not staying longer than 1 more year, is he?
Well, then
his value is super high.
Yeah, I know his value is super high, but
yeah, it depends what you can get. It's like we have to look, maybe just not at this season, but if we think that last season wasn't a flash in the pan and we're going to be punching above our weight again, then maybe it's 1 a season, maybe it's 1 every 2 seasons. But if you sell Murillo now and Gibbs-White doesn't sign, Gibbs-White will have to go next season.
Yeah, you don't want that.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Mikey's thinking is my thinking on the whole situation. Greg's got to go in about 5 minutes, so we'll try and rattle through at least a few more players before we have to let him go. Jota Silva, keep or sell? Or could you loan him out, I guess, Mark?
Sell.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's a sell. If we're going to progress as a squad and strengthen our bench, then I think he's, to me, a pretty easy sell if there's someone who would buy him for decent money. Greg?
Yeah, we need money though, don't we? So, I mean, what are you saying, 18? Something like that, you'd sell.
Yeah, 15. So I think we paid about 10, well, maybe even 10. I think. Well, I'm not sure. I'll dig out what we paid.
Exciting player, though. I've loved watching him. I love watching him play. But yeah, so
he's fun. But is he good enough to be part of where we're going, Mikey? For you,
I'm the only person that's going to say keep, even in the comments. And the reason being is he's a bit of a disruptor. He's a bit of the person that can come on 15, 20 to go. He can play anywhere along the front line. It's his first season. I'm not sure we'll get that big money for him anyway. And when we get to Sosa, obviously, I'm going to say move him on. But I think out of the 2 of them, I'd absolutely keep Jota. I think he's got something to offer us dynamically, and his difference and his just grit and determination. If everyone remembers Villa away, and he is useful. And, he's not going to get any worse, is he? He's only, 23, 24?
No, he's a bit older than that. He's like
is he sure? Oh, is he? I'd still keep him.
The consensus, hang on, I'm masking the mic. Sorry. The consensus in the chat is sell. I mean, he would look good in a Leon shirt to me, I must say. But what about you? Hang on, we finished on him, didn't we? What about Sosa then, Mark? It's the same sort of question, isn't it?
Sell, yeah, not good enough, is he? I'd love to be able to give him more time, but we're not in that position because we need players who can cover us in 2 competitions at a high level. So we have to sell.
Sosa's 25. I've just googled the wrong player. Greg?
it's again money. Yeah, you're gonna have to sell and see what else we can get for not a lot of money and a lot of potential, which is what he had or has.
Jota Silva's 26 next month. Sorry, 1st of August. So he's same age as Sosa, really. Mikey, keep or sell?
Charlie's got it right. Sell Sosa, keep Jota. I think Jota offers us that grit. I think Sosa's just a bit too lightweight, if I'm being honest with you.
Okay. Well, if you had to keep one, say you had to keep one, Mark, which one would you pick?
I'd keep Sosa, yeah.
I think he's got a bit of an X factor. He can do stuff off the bench. I mean, they're both sells for me. What about you, Greg? Just quickly on that.
I'd keep Sosa over Jota.
I think so. I think I would as well.
I'm alone then on that one. That's fine.
Just the attacking. So we're so light on like an attacking. I don't know. What would you say his position is really?
Sosa's a left winger.
He's a left winger. He can't play anywhere else, can he? Well, I think apparently he could play as number 10 when he signed.
Yeah.
But I've not really seen it. I think he's a winger, and I think he's probably a left winger for me. So yeah. We also have Josh Bowler, and he's a sell, I'm sure, unless anyone's going to disagree with me on that one. Right, let's go into the forwards. Chris Wood's obviously a keep, unless anyone disagrees. Taiwo's situation is really tricky and unfortunate. So I think we have to keep him, don't we? Because he's injured. So
no one's buying a player that's had such a horrendous injury, and I'm sure we're going to look after him now and hope he can get fit. But if it comes that he gets to fitness again, and who knows, next Christmas or something, he could get a decent money move somewhere, because he's a fantastic player and it seems like he's a good guy. So we need to look after him, obviously, after what's happened.
Yeah, I'm not expecting him to play before Christmas at the very least. So yeah, wish him well in his recovery. I did read Galatasaray were interested in him at one stage recently. Obviously pre-injury, that would have been a good move for him actually if that had come off. Our other striker is Emmanuel Dennis, who has been an awful signing, a predictably awful signing. I think maybe I'm saying that with the benefit of hindsight, but I never thought he'd be any good. Sell for any fee, Mark? Would you sell him on a free?
Yeah,
just to get rid?
We got to get his contract off our books.
Yeah. Greg?
Is that the season before last shirt? I'm just trying to think when he played.
That's the pre-season friendly at Chesterfield.
There you go. Yeah, so
Mikey?
Absolutely 1,000,000% sell.
Yeah, pretty horrible. Right, Greg, you need to go, don't you? We'll finish up with these two, but you need to disappear.
Yeah, if that's all right. I very much enjoyed it, though. It's nice to have a debate.
Yeah, it was good. Oh, thanks for calling me an idiot. No, I enjoyed it.
No, you offered it, Mark. You'd never offer me that opportunity. So.
I've not been here long enough to call Matt an idiot yet. Yeah. Maybe next season I'll do it. I'm sure he'll say something and wants it.
A bit more tenure. If I'd offered it to you, you'd call me something worse. No, it was good to have you. Good to have you. Thank you.
Brilliant. Right. I'll see you all at the next one.
Yeah, thanks, mate. See you later. Right, I'll let Greg go. Although I was going to say I don't know what happens to the screen if Greg goes. There's just a Greg-shaped hole is left there.
Oh, haven't you done the adapter? Oh, I'll show you how to do. Oh, there you go. See, it does it.
Yeah. I mean, I've got very, very basic skills with this stuff, all self-taught. Right, final conclusions. I think while they're talking, I'll tot up how many players we're actually going to have next season. How many players do we actually need to be competitive at the level we want to be next season, Mark, when you look at that?
God. Well, if the ambition is to go deep into the conference and the ambition is to get a top 10 finish, we need 6 minimum, I would say.
What about you, Mikey?
I was going to say 7 or 8. So I think our thinking's aligned, myself and Mark. And I think 2, 3, maybe even 4 of them need to be serious first team players. Because if 1 or 2 or 3 are going to go out the door, we're going to be even weaker squad-wise. And I know a lot of people are talking about, well, Chelsea played a reserve team in the conference. That's Chelsea. Their reserve team, they've got two top string 11s. You know, we saw that we had nothing to come off the bench at all. And then to field a whole 11, you can have academy players in there, players that haven't played for a long time, players we don't know much about. You know, if we're really going to challenge on all fronts next season, we've got to look to keep the vast majority of our top talent and then add, I'd say, 6 or 7 more, and half of them need to be proper footballers that are going to really challenge for that first team position.
I think I just had a quick look. I think we sell, I think it was about 10 of that list, roughly, which does leave us very thin. If we were to sign Igor Jesus, I think we definitely will. Jai Cunha looks likely. Cuiabano looks less likely. So I still think for me, the plan is sell a big name and go for it. Because if we don't, Mark, then you might as well keep Jota and Sosa, because you know what they can do, and they're decent Premier League players, aren't they? It feels like, to me, this squad needs an injection of quality, and you can only do that with, selling a big player, can't you?
Yeah, I still don't know what our policy in Europe's going to be. I still don't know that he's going to go for it, because I think he'll want to push for a season like we've just had.
He'll go for it, won't he? Because
I don't know.
Olympiacos won the Conference League, didn't they?
If he's going to go for it, we have got to be doing a huge amount of business, and I just don't know if we're going to get that window to do it. It's like, yeah, I'd love us to be going for it. I'd love us to, but it's a serious drain on resources. It's not only squad; it's Nuno's headspace. It's all the coaching team's headspace. It's the travelling, all your coaching team. So you don't get to prepare for the weekend Premier League game anywhere near as much when you've got a Thursday game in between. So even if we had a full 11 to play in Europe like Chelsea did, it's still going to impact us.
Yeah.
And I just don't see how we can really go and attack the conference and strive for a top 10 finish in the Premier League unless we sign many players during the summer and they're all going to hit the ground running. And that's going to be a huge ask. When we've got contracts to negotiate, like we said, in my eyes, we get the contracts, the focus, we sign 3 or 4 players, and we forget the conference. We just try and go for the Premier League finish again. But the owner's ambitious. He'll want to do it all, but he's going to have to get busy to do that.
He will want to do it all. I think back to that Olympiacos podcast we had the other week, and the mantra and mentality is anything for victory is unacceptable. And I think he'll carry that approach into it. We also need to know as well about which European competition we're actually in, because it does certainly affect things. I'll just put James's comment up on the screen. James says, people listening not watching, why do we need to sell? We're healthy enough on PSR. Sell Danilo, sell Turner. It cancels out the 3 Brazilians. We can ship others off the wage bill and spend a decent amount. I think that is a case, and that is a scenario that we can do, which is sort of what we did last season, thanks to John Textor with a few. I don't know if we can repeat that again. I just think it's difficult to do a lot of deals at short notice and then spend what qualifies as a decent amount. I mean, a decent amount, if we do that, to me, I don't know, Mikey, I'm plucking a figure here, it's probably 40 million quid. And it feels to me like you want to spend 100 million quid, don't you?
Yeah, it's to be fair, all these arguments are correct in the angles that they're coming from. It's just what approach we want to take. I think what they'll do, and I have nothing to base this on, it's just my gut feel, is can people remember the start of the FA Cup last season, how far we went into it? If you remember those initial teams that he picked, we were changing the whole 11. And I appreciate it was Luton and Exeter and a few others. But I think what we might do is go down the route that Mark says, is kind of feel our way into the Conference League. Hopefully we're just good enough to sort of get through, and then as the competition gets more mature, freshen up the team. But even with that still, as Mark quite rightly says, it's a drain. Thursday, Sunday games, whilst it's the same difference between a Wednesday and Saturday, it's very different because you travel in Europe. You're going on planes, you're going all sorts of different weird and wonderful places. You're playing teams you've never played against, on pitches you've never played on. It is very, very different. And you saw it in the European competitions last season with other teams, not Conference League, but others, where teams just didn't win their following Premier League game, did they at all? Because they were just emotionally and physically exhausted. I think of Villa, for one, for example. So it's really interesting. I think the next few weeks will tell us a lot when the window opens. My gut feel is somebody big will leave, and I think we'll do a lot of business. But I think we'll feel our way tentatively into that Conference League, because I think what we can't do is, I know we've worked so hard to get into Europe, so I don't just think we're going to, piss it off, sorry for want of a better phrase. I don't think we're going to do that. But I do think we won't allow the Premier League campaign to suffer, because our first 2 seasons were bloody hard and everybody suffered. And we've got over that hurdle now, and we are a decent Premier League side, and we can't allow anything to impact that. So I think the focus will be Premier League. and I think they'll feel their way into the Conference League. But to do that, you've got to freshen up the squad. Look at Liverpool now. They're freshening up their squad. They're buying from a position of strength. We're in the strongest position we've been in for 30 years. So we do need to do some business. We've got a fantastic first 11, just nothing after that. So there needs to be some tactical and strategical decisions made at the club about how we want to go forward. And I just think they'll want to throw a bit of money at it. I genuinely do. We've got an incredibly ambitious owner and incredibly ambitious players, and they'll want to see us kick on as a club, as we all do. It just needs to be done in a controlled and logical way. But it's exciting, isn't it? Remember, we used to do these years ago, didn't we? And we were talking about, can we get a team to finish in the top half of the Championship? And it's a whole different conversation now, but it is exciting. So whatever road they go down, we've got to trust them, because recruitment's been fantastic, and we've got to believe that they've got a plan, and it's not just sporadic chucking stuff at a wall, seeing what sticks. There's a plan behind it, and I'm sure there will be.
Yeah, I do remember talking to Dan Story and going through a load of transfer names. The season we got promoted, actually, and Lyle Taylor on a free from Charlton was quite exciting, I remember, at the time. So it is a slightly different scenario.
Bristol City, remember the goal. Come on.
I know, we wouldn't be here now without him, certainly. James, I'll take James' other points. It's a good point. I think in The Athletic, they were saying we could spend 50 to 85 million. And if you look at our team, Sells was about 5, Milenkovic 10 or 12, Murillo 10, El Lorena on a free. So we have done lots of good deals. But then equally, if you look at our transfer business last summer, we signed quite a few players, but only 2 of them were in the starting 11. And I feel like we've got to strengthen the squad, and you can try and rely on the recruitment team. It's quite a big ask of the Mark, isn't it, to keep picking rabbits from the hat? It's possible, though.
It's not like if we were only needing to sign 3 or 4 players to strengthen the squad, I think we wouldn't sell one of the bigger names, because I think we could do it. But the fact you've got to sell several players to free up the funds to then go and sign a lot of players, it's just not. I just don't see us doing that many deals. There's only so many of the recruitment team and the negotiation team so they'll have to look at it and go, well, we can make one sale, and that one sale will unlock 5 or 6 really strong signings. I think that if we're going to go for Europe, that is the most likely outcome. But we might not go for Europe. We might decide, but all the suggestion is we will. And I think to do that, we've got to sell one big name, because otherwise it's multiple deals to get 10 million here, 20 million there, and then we've got to do multiple deals to fill the gaps in the squad. And that's a lot of business. And I'm not saying we're not capable of doing it, but it's putting a massive onus on the recruitment team to do that. And then every single deal has got to hit the ground, do the job. I just think that's a big ask.
I see Vissa's getting a mention in the chat as well. To sign that level of player, which is probably what we need, is probably 30, 40 million quid. Like you say, specifically with Brentford as well, Mark. If Thomas Frank's going and Burmo's going, they're not going to sell a player like that unless you're paying top dollar, are they? No,
but I think he's the player that, we've got Chris Wood, we've got Igor Jesus. We need a sure bet. We need a sure bet who can come in and play instead of Chris Wood, who can get us goals. Igor Jesus isn't that. He could be fantastic. He's no doubt got the raw material to be a success, but to ask of him to do that in the first season, really big ask. And don't forget, one of them's got to play in Europe. So what, if he plays the conference, surely he isn't going to also play the Premier League. So we've got to make a decision. Who's leading the attack in the conference? We haven't got anybody, have we? Because really you want Chris Wood and Jesus in that Premier League team. So for Igor Jesus to play in the conference, we've got to sign another striker, and you can't take a risk in that. And Wissa's sitting there, 19 goals in the Premier League last season, no risk at all, can play wide as well. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really into signing players at 28, 29 because there's no resale, but sometimes you've just got to do the sensible thing and get a surefire signing in. And if we're going to do that once, it would be on him, I think.
Yeah. Especially as well, Mikey, if we're signing the 3 Brazilians, which I'm really on board with, don't get me wrong, I think it's really good, sensible, exciting business. But if you're signing 3 in that bracket, you probably need to sign someone in the next level, don't you? You can't sign 6 type Brazilian level unknown quantities, can you?
No, you can't. And Mark's absolutely spot on. So you asked earlier, Matt, which area of the pitch is looking the weakest? Well, anybody that's watching this, look at our centre forwards. Taiwo's not going to play for a while. Dennis is Dennis. And you've got Chris Wood, and to ask a 34, 35-year-old to have the same season, the season of his life again, in another competition as well, is just not going to happen. So Wissa is a brilliant player, and I'm fed up of him scoring against us. So if anything, just to get him out of Brentford and get him in our team would be great. You've also got to think about the other teams as well. So are Tottenham going to be as bad? Well, maybe because it's Champions League, but they're going to have a new manager. Are Man U going to be as bad? Everton have got a new stadium with Moisey in. So these teams will have a bit of a resurgence and be pushing as well. So we just need to make sure that we've got players that know the Premier League, that have delivered in there before, to supplement and to make the transition for the less experienced players that you speak about, Matt, the 3 Brazilians or how many we buy, make their transition to our side and our country more easy, because you have to have that blend, don't you? And if we are going to have not a completely different team, but 6 or 7 different players playing in the Conference League, then you need almost like a Premier League 11, and then pretty much what you can do on a Thursday night, unless we're going to go absolutely mad in the transfer market. So I would love us to sign somebody like Wissa, because he's a sure bet in this league, and I appreciate there's no resale value, but you know what you're getting with him, 100%. I'd have no worries with him spearheading any of our campaigns. I think he'd be a brilliant signing for Forest.
Are you expecting, Mark, a regression from Wood? I mean, if the things that he's good at, finishing chances, he exceeds his XG massively. Can he sustain that? Age doesn't matter, or will age catch up with him next season, do we think?
He won't get 20 goals next season. I just, you've got to expect regression, because I think it's a one-off season. He's been a regular double-figure goal scorer in the Premier League. He's in the twilight years of his career at this level. So surely you're not going to put expectation of going, well, Chris Wood, 20 goal striker, yeah, we'll do that again next year. There's no way. There's no way we can expect that. I think we've got to sign a first choice striker, and we haven't got that. I don't think Chris Wood will be in the starting 11 and start saying the first game of the season. I don't think we can ask that of him. I think basically I hope we sign a first choice striker so that we can play Wood sparingly and perhaps play Wood to spearhead the Conference League. But I don't know if we'll do that, but I think we need to.
I think he'll be our striker certainly at the start of next season. And then I suppose the hope is that we sign someone who can probably take the shirt, good as Chris has been, but, as a longer term option. But I definitely think he's probably starting the first game of next season, unless, as Mark says, we've signed someone really exceptional who you can't really leave out. Then that would be the plan. Right, we've gone on for over an hour, and I've enjoyed the chat, and it's been good having lots of people in there with us. Do hit like if you haven't, by the way, and subscribe. That'd be lovely. Any final thoughts, any conclusions, anything you want to add, Mikey, before we go?
Or is this the any other business bit? I've got one thing else. I met a guy called David Coyne the other week. Really nice guy who watches and listens to the podcast and says it's helped him through some tough times. And I promised I'd give him a shout out. And I'm really glad that we can help and just spread a bit of joy and happiness to people. I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but I just really appreciated him coming up and saying hello. And that's great. So everybody listening, hope, we're trying to carry this on through the pre-season, and hopefully we'll have more sort of transfer stuff to talk about. But going back to this conversation, it's really interesting, and I've loved the comments tonight. So many different opinions, but all valid. And it's going to be really interesting, isn't it, just to see what approach that we take in the transfer market. And I reckon you'll know once that window opens, that second window, I reckon you'll know within a few days whether we're going to go mad or whether we're going to keep our powder dry and just do some really sort of tactical tweaks. I think it will be 7 to 8 players in, if I'm honest. And I think we also...
I wondered where you were going there, Mikey.
I know. I genuinely do. I'm hoping Gibbs-White signs a new contract, and I'm hoping we keep them all and we just buy a load of great players, and we have a go at absolutely everything. But realistically, we need to make some choices. But I have full trust. And if we can replicate anything that we did last season, which was just, I know it ended on a sour note, but my God, what a season. Honestly, it was incredible. If we can do anything like that next season, then we're going to have a laugh. And have you thought about what you're going to do, Matt, for the Conference League, are you going to do like Thursday shows or something? I mean, you're going to be busy next season, aren't you?
One thing at a time. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm sure my missus will be absolutely delighted with all these extra night recordings. Yeah,
never mind the strain on the team. Think of the strain on us, Matt.
Exactly. Just before I go to Mark, final thoughts. I had one other thing on my mind quickly. A chap called Guy Chamberlain sent me a lovely email, and at the end, he asked us to discuss something we've discussed repeatedly, but obviously people still want to discuss it. So I'll ask these chaps really quickly. When we have that squad list in front of us, we've got tons of centre halves. We've got a midfield problem. Guy said he thinks Murillo should be our number 6 next season. Really not for me, because I think he's a centre half and I don't think he's a midfielder. Mark, just quickly, because Guy sent a lovely email, would you consider Murillo as that number 6 next season?
He could play there. You'd probably play him anywhere, couldn't you? He's such a great footballer and uniquely gifted. But he's as a currency, as in terms of value to us, resale value, he's a centre back, and we have to play him a centre back, because I don't think if he stays this year, great, but I think we've got one more season, and then a Champions League team are coming to get him, and they're spending 100 million, because he is so unique in what he brings. He's one of the, statistically, one of the top 3 defensive centre backs, but he's also incredibly gifted on the ball. He's got incredible vision. Yes, he could play the 6, but we've got to play him in a position where he's got the biggest value to us and to other clubs watching in, and that is the centre back. Yeah,
I totally agree. He could do it, I think, but equally, I think he get caught on the ball a fair bit, adapting to the role. He tries to do a lot of things, and if he does it in the wrong area of the pitch, then it's costly. So to me, he's 100% a centre back. He's a brilliant centre back, and I would play him there. Just before I ask Mikey, I'll address Toby's comment. I've not done a real day's work since December 2023, Toby. I guess gets to sit here and talk Forest all the time, which is lovely, mostly. Mikey, just on that quickly.
Yeah.
That Murillo, not my work, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Oh, damn. He'd probably do a great job there, and I get the thought process, because he's so comfortable on the ball and his passing is unique and exceptional. I just think left-footed centre-backs at his age with his pace are rare as hen's teeth, aren't they? Let's be honest. So, and with Mark, he signed a long-term deal. He'll go for mega money, and he'll go because he's excelling in that position. But like I said, if you did play him there, it's like dropping Gibbs-White deep. Would he be any good? Yeah, absolutely. But you probably negate the things that makes him stand out, which is, on the half turn, his vision, his energy. And I think Murillo is the same. I think at centre-back, he really complements Milenkovic as well. What a great partnership they are. So you have to think about the influence that would have taking him out of there. But, it's a good question. And he could play there, but I think keep him at centre-back.
I mean, I think Morgan might be better playing deeper, but that's a whole other 20-minute debate. I think he might be a better deeper line midfielder than a number 10 in some scenarios. So there we go. Right, we will end it there, but I haven't given Mark a chance for any final thoughts and conclusions.
It's all fine. I've got no any other business other than, we better get busy, because if Mikey's right, and I've got an inkling he could be, we've got to get going as soon as that window starts, and we've got a lot of work to do, and we've got a lot of talking to do if we do that.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, honestly, the amount of rumours and names, some of them I've just ignored, but I've read out most of them today. So, do join us for all that then. There's a chance for a plug. We'll do lots of transfer stuff. We'll do a bit of Omar Richards chat with the Long Ball Football podcast, because they've seen a lot more of him. And we'll have some other interviews. Got some good stuff lined up as well. And Pete's preparing a quiz with Danscape and Paul Morley that they're very excited about. I'm going to ask these two if they'll do it later. Join us for all that. Thanks for everyone's company tonight. I think this might be the longest ever podcast we've done, which is about a quarter of an FPL black box. So it's not quite nostalgia for Mark, but it's been a long one for us. So thanks to Mark. Thanks to Mikey. Thanks for everyone's company. Do hit like, do hit subscribe, do consider membership and Patreon and all that stuff that I plug all the time. Thanks very much for your company. Have a good evening, everyone. If we don't see you tomorrow, we shall see you soon.